Whatever destination you are seeking, be it health, relationship, job, happiness, and you're struggling getting there, it's not because you can't have it, it's because your program doesn't offer it, and you're trying to override the program. Negative thinking is equally powerful in controlling the body as is positive thinking, but it works in the opposite direction. Negative thinking can cause any disease, including death. Let's say you're not healthy and you say, I want to be healthy. And a year later, I say, let's hear the program you downloaded. The program is, I want to be healthy. Guess what? You're still wanting. You never said you were healthy. You just said, I want to be healthy. Wanting to be healthy is not the same as being healthy. It has to be in the present tense and positive, meaning it's as if you had what you wanted right now. It's great to talk to yourself and give yourself all positive affirmations. You're so smart. You're so powerful. You're so intelligent. You have what you want. I am healthy. I am lovable. I am loved. I have the best job possible. The brain is a computer, but the greater processing power is in the subconscious. It's 1,000,000 times more powerful a processor than the processor called the conscious mind.
Mayim Bialik's Breakdown is supported by Element.
Element helps anyone stay hydrated without the sugar and other dodgy ingredients found in popular electrolyte and sports drinks. Electrolyte deficiency or imbalance can cause so many things you don't want: headaches, cramps, fatigue, brain fog, weakness. Element is a zero-sugar electrolyte drink mix born from the growing body of research that reveals that optimal health outcomes actually occur at sodium levels 2 to 3 times government recommendations. Each stick pack delivers a meaningful dose of electrolytes free of sugar or artificial colors or other dodgy ingredients. Element is formulated for anyone on a mission to restore health through hydration and is perfectly suited for athletes, folks who are fasting, or those following keto, low-carb, whole food, or paleo diets. We love Element. Jonathan especially loves Element. Every bottle of water we own tastes like Element.
It's truly delicious.
From health experts, everyone from famed Stanford neuroscientists to functional nutritionists to moms, exercise enthusiasts, heavy sweaters, sauna sitters, and those who want a dynamite no-sugar margarita or mocktail, incorporate Element into their daily routine. Get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/Mayim. Also try Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. Try Element totally risk-free. If you don't like it, they'll refund your order. No questions asked.
Again, for your free Element sample pack, go to drinkelement.com/Mayim. That's drinklmnt.com/MAYIM.
Before we dive into today's episode, I'm going to ask you to do something very quick, very easy, but super helpful. I'm going to ask you to hit the subscribe button. You see it? Go get it. Hit the subscribe button. It just takes a second, but it means a lot to us. You have probably noticed from all of the comments that we get, many people find that listening to MBB regularly is helping them feel happier, healthier, more inspired. And you know what? That actually is why we are doing this. It makes my heart swell to hear that so many of you are feeling inspired. So subscribing to this show, whether you're listening on YouTube or whether you're listening to it through a podcast app, it's the easiest way to ensure that you will never miss an episode. So we don't want you to miss a single one, and you don't want to miss a single one. So you'll get notified as soon as a new episode drops. All you have to do is subscribe and share this episode with someone if you enjoy it. We're trying to spread the word. Help us do that. The best way to support our show is by subscribing. So do it now. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. Let's get back to the good stuff. Hi, I'm Mayim Bialik.
I'm Jonathan Cohen.
And welcome to our breakdown. This is the place where we break things down so you don't have to. Breaking things down a little bit differently today.
We're sitting on the same couch if you're watching.
We're sharing one microphone.
It's very weird.
We're also sharing one set of AirPods.
We're making it work. We're recording this without power. The power went out. We're using a mini generator that Mayim bought me like 3 years ago for my birthday. It was like the greatest present because I was always concerned that the power went out. And 3 years later, it is the perfect gift.
Today, we're going to be talking about unleashing the power of consciousness, matter, and miracles. You know, just a regular day over here.
When I think about this episode, I think about what are the programming that's happening in our subconscious that we're not even aware of, and how are those programs impacting our lives in ways that we actually don't realize.
How much of your conscious brain do you think is running the show of your life versus the unconscious part of your brain?
Here's a spoiler. It is a lot less than you think.
We'd like to think that we are conscious beings and we are imagining things and creating things and doing things. We're going to be talking today about how the overwhelming vast majority of how we operate is actually due to unconscious programming and the unconscious behaviors that result from programming. And we're going to be talking about how we can change that programming so that we can literally be healthier. We're going to talk about the role of this unconscious programming on the integrity of our cells, the integrity of how cells group into tissues and organs and create an entire system. I'm going to be honest, there's a lot that's controversial in this episode. We're going to be talking to Bruce Lipton. He's a cell biologist and lecturer. He's an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit, one of the proponents of the new biology, one of the first people to talk about epigenetics way back in the day. He performed groundbreaking stem cell research at Stanford University. He was on faculty at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine. He has written Biology of Belief, The Honeymoon Effect, so many other books, Spontaneous Evolution. He's a really, really exceptional thinker, a very outside the box thinker. If you have any questions about if the mind actually can control the body, we hope you will join us in welcoming and learning from Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Break it down.
So this is a little bit of a special setup for us, but we appreciate your patience. We're recording this during the astounding fires that are rocking Southern California. So we are actually without power. This is our first time doing a podcast from a generator, and it is just for you, Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Well, listen, I hope to bring better news than what you have right now.
We hope so too, but we're so excited to get to speak with you. You're one of the people sort of in this field and in so many fields that has a body of work that obviously spans decades. And for so many people in our audience, we're just so excited to get to have you here and to talk a bit about you in general and in particular biology and belief.
And evolution.
Yes.
Because that is what's happening at this moment.
Why don't we start by setting a little bit of the problem? So many people are trying to change their lives. The self-help movement is a multi-billion-dollar industry growing every day, but there's a main hindrance in people actually changing. Can you explain a little bit about programming and what's really holding people back from having the emotional regulation they want, making the decisions they want, and actually taking the steps towards the life that they want?
It's a very important time for asking the question, how come if I'm a creator, this world looks the way it does? Because I wouldn't be involved with making that. And then I go, okay, now it's time to understand the nature of how you were actually involved in making that without any knowledge that you're doing it. And I say, what is this all about? Well, let me just emphasize a couple of things to make science out of this, so we're not new agey stuff here. Number one, the most valid science on planet Earth is quantum physics. There is no science with more validity than quantum physics. Now, quantum physics was originated in 1927. One of the founding fathers of quantum physics, Max Planck, made this statement about the theoretical understanding of quantum physics. In 1927, he wrote, "The mind is the creator of all matter." And I go, okay, the mind is creating all this. This is quantum physics, okay? Now, but that was 100 years ago. I want you to know that in the most prestigious scientific journal on this planet, the journal is called Nature, it's published in England, there was an article called The Mental Universe by a quantum physicist from Johns Hopkins University, Richard Conn Henry. I don't need to read the article because the last sentence is the absolute summary of the understanding of quantum physics after 100 years. It starts with the universe is immaterial. This is a recognition of quantum physics that everything is energy. Matter is an illusion of energy, okay? It's like focused energy rather than diffuse energy, but matter is focused energy. So the idea that matter was physical that's an illusion. So let's read again. The universe is immaterial. It is spiritual and mental. Live and enjoy. Well, I want to tell you, when the most prestigious scientific journal in the world mentions spirituality and mental causation for the world we live in, it's time for us to wake up to something. And that is, if we are creating this with our consciousness and our mind, then how come we're not experiencing the heaven on earth that we would all love to have? Why aren't we all healthy and happy and enjoying the sunshine of everyday life on this planet? And yet, we are the so-called creators. So here's where the crux of the entire problem comes down to. The mind is the creator. Yes. The mind sounds like there's a singularity. There's a mind. I go, no. There are two minds. And they work together. They're interdependent. Each mind has a different function. And so let's start with the latest evolution of the mind. It's right behind your forehead. It's called prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain, a lobe of brain right here in the front. This is the seat of what we call the conscious mind, the latest evolution of the brain in human development. The conscious mind is connected to our spirituality, which we're going to get into, I hope. And the significance about the conscious mind is its function is creativity. The conscious mind has imagination. And if you have imagination, then you can engage manifestation. If you can imagine it, then you can do it. And so the issue is, if I asked anybody out there in the world right now, I say, tell me what you want in your life or the world. The answer comes from the creative, imaginational, conscious mind. So the conscious mind has your wishes and your desires and everything you want in your life. And then the subconscious mind, which is about 90% of the brain back here, works, and the emphasis is sub, below your awareness. So right now, wherever you're sitting, your body temperature, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your respiration, all of this is controlled without you having any thought about it. It's being controlled without you even knowing it's being controlled, okay? So I say the conscious mind's function was creativity. Now, this is the most important understanding. The subconscious mind is programs of how to run the system. And so an important point comes right now, and that is this, that we have to recognize that while the creative mind has that imagination and creativity, the creative mind actually has two functions. I go, what is it? Well, one of them is to look out your eyes like the windshield of a vehicle and drive you to where? Wishes and desires. That's what the conscious mind wants to go. I go, that's great. But the conscious mind, and this is the crux of the entire problem of the world, the conscious mind can think. I go, what's the problem? When we were creating our life, we were looking out the window and moving toward our destination. But when you're thinking, you're not looking out at the world. When you're thinking, you're looking inside. So I could ask Mayim or Jonathan, I say, hey, today's Wednesday, what are you doing on Friday? And it's not written in front of them, but I bet you within a minute they can come up and tell you exactly what they're going to do on Friday. And I say, where did they get that information? And the answer is inside. So I say, wait, that means then the conscious mind has two functions, either looking out and taking us to wishes and desires, or looking in and thinking. Now comes the news from science. 95% of the day, Our conscious mind is not looking out the window. It's in thought. We think 95% of the day. And I go, so why is that a problem? Well, then that means 95% of the day you're not controlling your biology and your behavior in this outer world because your conscious mind's not even paying attention. I go, so what? I say, then when you are busy thinking, all of your behavior, internal and external experiences, are controlled by the subconscious programs. It's the hard drive. So basically it says, when you're paying attention, being mindful, being present, being here, you're in the creative mode. But when you're thinking, you let go of the creative mode and now you play programs. Where'd you get the programs? Okay.
Mayim Bialik's Breakdown is supported by Quince.
Vacation season is nearly upon us, and I myself have a few upcoming trips that I'm excited about this spring. I'm preparing by treating myself to first-class upgrades at an economy price tag from Quince. Like lightweight European linen styles from $30. They also have washable silk tops, comfy lounge sets with premium luggage options and stylish tote bags to carry it all. Best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts the cost to the middle person and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. We love that. Quince has so many carry-on and check bags that I've got my eye on. They also have travel bags and other travel accessories that come in a variety of sizes and gorgeous colors. I'm very excited to use mine. So thank you, Quince, for helping us travel so stylishly. For your next trip, treat yourself to the luxe upgrades you deserve from Quince. Go to quince.com/breakdown for 365-day returns, plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/breakdown to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/breakdown.
I love my cats more than I can express, and I would do anything to keep them happy and healthy as they can be.
Today's episode is sponsored by the ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program.
Your pet's part of your family, and you want the best for them no matter what. But vet bills can really add up. That's why check out pet insurance. And with ASPCA Pet Health Insurance, you can focus on the care your pet deserves and cover what matters most. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you to help get your pet the care that they may need. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for, 18 years. They helped more than 600,000 pets during that time. They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are, because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/break. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/break. Again, that's
aspcapetinsurance.com/break. This is a paid advertisement.
Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
Mayim Bialik's Breakdown is supported by the official Big Bang Theory podcast.
Wow, this is so exciting to get to talk about. Obviously, The Big Bang Theory was a huge part of my life. I was on the show for 9 years and some incredible experiences that you can hear all about on this new podcast that is all about The Big Bang Theory. On the official Big Bang Theory podcast, you'll get an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at each episode of the hit show, starting with the unaired pilot. Host Jessica Radloff, author of the New York Times bestselling book about the TV show and a huge fan of The Big Bang Theory, is joined each week by amazing guests like the show's co-creator Chuck Lorre, director Jim Burrows, and cast members like Kunal Nair, who plays Raj, Kevin Sussman, who played Stuart, and John Ross Bowie, who plays Barry, all three of whom we've actually had on our podcast here at MBB. You'll hear how the show came to be, backstage secrets, the process of character development, and so much more. I am so excited, especially to hear about the things that happen behind the scenes in those first years. The podcast starts with season 1 and 2 before my character Amy joined in season 3, so you can have so much fun reflecting back on all of these early seasons.
Listen to the official Big Bang Theory podcast on Max or wherever you get podcasts, and stream episodes of The Big Bang Theory on Max.
The important understanding is this: the mind, the brain is a computer. It's not like a computer. It is a computer. And it has the same functions as your desktop computer. I go, in the old days when we buy a computer, it didn't come with the programs. You could spend $2,000, bring it home, push start, the screen boots up. I say, now do something. You go, I can't. I go, what do you mean? You spend all that money, you can't do anything. I said, not until I put programs into the hard drive do I have access to use a computer. And I go, exactly the same for the human brain. The subconscious is the hard drive. And I go, so when do the programs come in? And the answer is this: a child needs to learn all the rules of being a member of a family and being a functional member of a community. There are rules. You can't do whatever you want. You can't get on the bus and decide to take your clothes off. No, there's a rule. You can't do that. You got to learn these rules. And then I say, well, how does a child learn thousands of rules of being a functional member of a family and being a functional member of a community? And the answer is this: too young to go to school, too young to read the book, an infant too young to even sit in a seat. So I said, well, how's a child going to get all this information? Neuroscience reveals that the brain is not operating at the level of consciousness until about age 7. I go, where's the brain operating? Well, when you put wires on a person's head, it's called electroencephalograph. We can read your mind, your brain function right through that. And I said, but we read it in terms of vibration. The vibration I hope you're using right now is called beta, which is focused, conscious, schoolroom thinking vibration. When you're relaxing, the vibration lowers to the next lower level, which is called alpha, which is calm consciousness. That's what you experience. But the moment you fall asleep, the vibration goes down to the next lower level called theta. And theta has two functions to it. And theta is the lower vibration of consciousness that operates for the first 7 years of your life. So I say, what is the characteristic? Theta is imagination. Well, yeah, that's why children live in the real world and the imaginary world seamlessly. I'm sure we all participated in that famous tea party where we poured nothing into the cup, drank nothing, and exclaimed that was the best tea we ever had. Or your invisible friend you've been talking with. Okay, theta. But theta is hypnosis. I guess, so why is that important? Because when a child's brain is in theta, it's downloading like a video recorder every experience. When does the download start? 3 months before you're born. The screen is booted, lit up, and the programs to begin downloaded 3 months from before you're born up to age 7. So I say, so what's the function of this programming? The rules of living your life and what to expect and who you are, and give you like, hey, this is who I am. I said, where'd you get this information? First, we focus our attention on our mother and our father as the primary programmers. A child will watch every move that they make and download everything that they say. I say, when does this start? And I said, before you were born. I go, what do you mean? Well, if a mother plays music from like a radio next to her abdomen and plays the same music over and over and over again, when that baby is born, the moment that music is played, the baby will instantly respond because it has a memory of that song. It's also if the father is talking through the abdominal wall to the fetus, when the baby is born and the father says something, the baby will immediately know which one the father was because it knows the voice pattern already. It downloaded before it was even born. But once it's born, 7 years of downloading by what? Observing everything and learning about everything. I say, yeah, so you watch your mother, you watch your father, you see their behavior. You download their behavior. How old were you? 0. You were still downloading it, okay? And I go, so why is this important? Because the behavior patterns that you observed in your mother and your father are the first programs that you download into your own hard drive. And then the same thing happens when you start observing the community. You download the behavior of the community. So what's the point? For the first 7 years, your hard drive is downloading programs of how to be a member of the world that we live in. Okay? And then what? Well, it's the hard drive. It's the program. 95% of the day, the behavior you downloaded is the behavior you will broadcast. And the point about this is very clear, and this is the problem. This is the problem. Because you're downloading the behavior, what does that mean? Well, it means that your conscious mind's not paying attention. I go, aha! The point is, you do not hear your own program when you're playing it, but everybody else does. And that's why I tell the same story for years. And that's this. You have a friend. You know your friend's behavior very, very well. And you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the same behavior as their parent. And you just got to tell them, you go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. Back away from Bill. Because I know what Bill's going to say. And you know what Bill's going to say because he said it. He said, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And yet everybody in the world observes Bill behaving exactly like his dad. Who's the one that doesn't observe it? Bill. Why doesn't he observe it? Because he's thinking and then playing the program and not observing the program while he's thinking. And I say, so what? And here comes it. We are all Bill. Every day, our life is run 95% of the time by programs that we don't observe while we are busy thinking. Give you a good example, personal. My mother and father had a dysfunctional relationship. I download as an infant my father's behavior. Was it good or bad? What the hell do I know? I downloaded it. But guess what? I couldn't get a relationship off the ground for almost 50 years. Why? Because 95% of the day, if I start broadcasting the behavior I downloaded from my father, which was dysfunctional, I would cause a loss of relationship. Now comes the interesting part, because if it didn't come, this would be the worst interview of the world. And the interesting part is this: you can change your program. And if you can rewrite your program, then you can write what you want. And you can have it back. But the biggest problem is this: if you don't know you have a program, can't even observe it, then you're in that group of people called the vast majority that have no idea that you're not creating the life you want. You're creating the life you've been programmed. Now, what's interesting is the movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary.
Mhm.
Yes. Why? What's the premise? We're all been programmed. I go, that's not a premise. That's a reality. All humans are programmed for 7 years. That's the absolute fact. But the cool part is, if you take the red pill, you can get out of the program. Now I'm going to suggest something that almost every one of you in this audience, at least if you're over 18, has taken that red pill, and it radically, in 24 hours, changed your entire life. You've already taken the pill? Oh, yes. You know what? It's called falling in love. I say, why? Because science has recognized when you first fall in love, you stop thinking. You keep the conscious mind in the present moment. You're not putting your consciousness in their head when what you want is right in front of your face. You stop thinking. But when you stop thinking, then you stop playing the program. And when you stop playing the program, then who's running the show? The conscious creator spirit mind. And what did it do? Your life was blah, 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 blah. You fell in love. 24 hours later, you have a new life. You're in love. It's called the honeymoon. The honeymoon is the equivalent of heaven on earth. Everything is beautiful. Even a crummy job is not even crummy anymore. The food tastes better. The music's better. Life is better. I'm so excited to be alive. That's called the honeymoon. I go, what is the honeymoon? Personal creation. That was always available. Guess what? What if you had a honeymoon every day of your life? I go, then guess what? You would also learn, which we're going to hopefully get into if I quiet down and let my handlers sitting there waiting for me to shut up, if I give them a chance to say something. But you know what? You are a creator. It's from quantum physics. There's a science behind it. You're a piece of God. Oh my God. I'm talking a piece of God. Why? The science guy is talking a piece of God. I go, look, in Nature, the journal, it mentions that spirituality is the programming aspect because quantum physics recognize energy fields, and each of us has our own unique receptors for our own energy field. There are no two people receiving the same energy field broadcast that we collectively call spirit. I go, my God, I didn't believe in that for over 40 years of my life, but the cells revealed it to me. And the most important thing I saw was, oh my God, I'm a spiritual entity playing through a virtual reality suit. The body is the suit. I go, the body is the suit. And I say, what does it offer? It offers us creativity and it offers us sensitivity, sensory awareness. Sensory awareness. What does love feel like? What does a good meal taste like? What does a beautiful piece of music sound like? What does a sunset look like? These are feelings besides manifestations of the energy. And this is what the body offers us. And when it's working right, like the honeymoon, the feelings are so intensely heaven on earth that what I would like to conclude with, if I ever give Jonathan and Mayim a chance to say something, is guess what? I will like to suggest to you a very important fact. You don't die and go to heaven. You were born here. This is heaven. This is your place of creativity. This is where your wishes and desires can manifest if you get out of the program. And therefore, don't wait to die before you go to heaven. You'll miss it. We're here now. Can I say that? Well, I'll tell you what, I never believed in that spiritual stuff anyway. But once the cells revealed it to me, my life has taken a whole different course. I went from being a dysfunctional relationship person because of my programming, rewrite that programming. I now have been living with my beautiful partner, Margaret, for 30 years of honeymoon every day of 30 years. Why? Change the program. Living with the conscious wishes. That was the whole idea. Let me tell you why recording the program is so important. Because what if you recorded into your subconscious program your wishes and your desires, your wishes and your desires? Then that means 95% of the day while you're thinking and going wherever you're going, your subconscious program will take you to the destination that you wish for without even thinking about it. And this is, to me, the joy of the new understanding of the biology of belief. Now I'll be quiet for a moment and let people say.
No, that's a perfect a perfect way to sort of give us a lay of the land. I mean, one of the things that comes to mind is you had this very specific kind of moment of clarity, as many people call what happened to you. You had a spiritual awakening, in the middle of teaching medical school and teaching cell biology. And so you had this really, really powerful experience. I wonder if you could kind of explain to people who may not have that spiritual awakening or that kind of moment, what are the ways that we can actively work on changing our programming? Because so many people feel stuck. Like, this is what I've got. I can't get out of this rut. So many people are suffering with depression, with anxiety,
Yes.
trauma, all these diagnoses. What are the ways that people can change their programming if they don't kind of have that flash of lightning moment?
Well, this is a very important question for the simple reason this. If you don't understand how to do it, then your life is filled with frustration. What? I want to change this. I'm going to change that. And it never changes and it stays the same. And that really is one of the most upsetting points of life, because then you have taken on the full role of victim. I'm not in control, because if I was in control, I wouldn't have done this. I go, but you did do it, but you didn't know you were involved. And this is why the wake-up call is so important at this moment, to recognize that you have this invisible programming that's running all the time. And I say, yeah, but how do I know what the programming is? And you say, well, and here's a very important part. 95% of your life is coming directly from the program. That's how much time you're thinking, so that's how much time the program is running. So I say, so then your life is a printout of your program. I say, why don't you know what the program is? I say, oh, I'll ask you a question. What program did you get 3 months before you were born? Can't answer that one, no. Oh, okay, wait. You were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1. What program did you get when you were 1 month old? I don't know. Oh, wait. You were programmed another whole year from 1 to 2. Tell me what program you got when you were 1 year old. I don't know. So what's the point? You don't know your programs because they happened before you were aware or conscious, and they were downloaded. So you cannot tell me you know your program because you weren't there. But now you can know what your program is. Why? Because your life is a printout of your program.
Mayim Bialik's breakdown is supported by AG1.
Jonathan and I both have an AG1 buddy, someone who reminds us to stay consistent and stay committed to our daily AG1 habit. And guess what? It's each other. Research has shown that having a partner can significantly increase the likelihood of habit formation, which has really worked for me and Jonathan in sticking to our health goals over the years and sticking to each other over the years. We love to make time taking our AG1 into a fun and healthy competition to see who can remember to take their AG1 the most consistently. Unlike other supplements that come and go, AG1's a habit that actually sticks because you can feel the difference. For the past 4 years that we've been using AG1, we're giving our bodies the vitamins, minerals, and more that they need, supporting whole body health, including gut and immune health. We've noticed changes in our gut health, less bloating, improved digestion. And aside from the vitamins and minerals in AG1, Jonathan, what else does it have?
It contains prebiotics, probiotics, and gut-supporting ingredients. AG1 can also help to support your energy levels, your skin health from within, cravings, and so many more things.
Plus, AG1's made with high-quality ingredients and no artificial junk, and it's tested for over 500 herbicides and pesticides. When it comes to our health, we want something we can trust. That's why we choose AG1. With science-backed ingredients and real benefits that we can feel, AG1 makes it easy to support overall wellness every day. That's why we've been partnering with AG1 for so long. AG1's offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. Make sure to check out drinkag1.com/breakdown to get this offer.
That's drinkag1.com/breakdown to start your new year on a healthier note. Mayim Bialik's breakdown is supported by Lumi.
I am very excited to be done with winter, almost. We had a mild one here in Southern California compared to most other places around the world, but I'm really looking forward to hikes, picnics, and being outside more in general. The only downside with spring is that warmer weather plus more activity is a recipe for feeling a lot less fresh a lot faster. But that's why I'm super happy to have started using Lumi Whole Body Deodorant. Unlike some other deodorants I've tried, it can literally handle anything. As someone who's very picky about smells, I also love the array of scent options that Lumi has to offer. None of them are too overpowering, which is really important. I use it wherever I need it, whenever I need it, and I feel confident all throughout the day. Lumi's got a special offer right now. New customers, we're talking to you. Get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code and link. Use code Mayim, that's MAYIM, at lumideodorant.com, LUME deodorant.com. Created by an OBGYN who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, Lumi Whole Body Deodorant is clinically proven to block odor all day. It's safe to use anywhere on your body, as all of their products are baking soda free, paraben free, and pH balanced. Lumi Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. Use code Mayim for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's code MAYIM at LUMEDEODORANT.com. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you.
Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Lumi.
The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But the things you struggle with and you put effort into and work and you sweat over, I'm making a change, I'm going to change, I'm working real hard, working. Why are you working so hard? And the answer is straightforward. Whatever destination you are seeking, be it health, relationship, job, happiness, and you're struggling getting there, it's not because you can't have it. It's because your program doesn't offer it. And you're trying to override the program. The brain is a computer, but the greater processing power is in the subconscious. It's 1,000,000 times more powerful a processor than the processor called the conscious mind. I go, so why is that important? I say, try and use your little baby conscious mind processor to control something that's working 95% of the day with 1,000,000 times more powerful processor. And all of a sudden you realize, ooh, that will be very difficult. I go, so difficult, it doesn't work for most people. And that's what the problem comes from. A lot of people talk to themselves saying, okay, let's work harder. Let's do this. I'm coaching myself. Who are you talking to? Oh, I'm talking to subconscious. There's nobody in the subconscious. It's a hard drive. If you think you can change the hard drive, talk to your computer and tell me what day the hard drive changes the program. So all of a sudden I say, oh my God, I got programs. I can see my life is struggling with my program. And yet, I can't change the program. I go, because you first have to learn how you got the program. And once you know how you got the program, you use the same mechanism to rewrite the program. So, first thing is this. First 7 years of your life, your brain is operating at theta, which is below consciousness. And theta is hypnosis. So, remember I said that as an adult, we have a whole range of vibration. Work, beta, high vibration. Come home, relax, alpha, calm, consciousness, lower vibration. The moment you fall asleep at night, the moment you disconnect consciousness, and now you're in a sleep, the next vibration down is theta. It's there for a short period of time before it goes to the lowest vibration, delta, which is unconscious. So guess what? Every night, right after you disconnect and your consciousness is now sleeping, there's a moment where the brain is operating in theta, which is hypnosis. So I say, then what can you do? I say, there are self-help programs. You can write your own, but let me first say there are self-help programs to help you create better habits, behaviors, better lifestyle. You get them at bookstores, self-help, whatever, online. I say, if you get one of those programs that will support what you're trying to change in your life, and at night, just before you fall asleep, you put in earbuds or earphones and start the program. For the first moment or so, you're going to hear the program because you're still conscious, but momentarily you'll be asleep. And the moment you fall asleep, theta is in operation, and theta is hypnosis record. So at night, you make a habit of putting on the earbuds or headphone playing the program as you fall asleep. And while you're sleeping, for the short time that the brain is in theta, it will be downloading as if it was observing hypnosis from the first moment. It is making a new program. Okay, it's called self-hypnosis. Let me go back and say that you can buy these programs, but you can make your own. And I say, okay, how do you make your own? I go, well, listen, the most important fact in making a program is this: whatever you say about whatever you're talking about has to be in the present tense and positive, meaning it's as if you had what you wanted right now. You can't say, I will have, I want X. No. Because if I say record that right today, let's say you're not healthy and you say, I want to be healthy. That's my program. I want to be healthy. I write that in. I play that every night. And a year later, I say, let's hear the program you downloaded. The program is, I want to be healthy. I go, oh, guess what? You're still wanting. Why? You never said you were healthy. You just said, I want to be healthy. Wanting to be healthy is not the same as being healthy. So what's the point? It's great to talk to yourself and give yourself all positive affirmations. You're so smart. You're so powerful. You're so intelligent. And you need to understand that you can do this. You have what you want. I am healthy. I am lovable. I am loved. I have the best job possible. I have X. I have Y. So the summary is very important. Yes, self-hypnosis can rewrite the program by repeating every night for a period of nights, because the period of theta is not very long, so you have to repeat it, a program. If you're doing it yourself, you have to say everything positive, nothing negative, and it always has to be as if you have it right now. I am loved.
So anyone who's been paying attention to our podcast for the past almost 4 years, anyone who's listened to our Michael Singer episode, any of our episodes that talk about ancient mysticism or even yoga or meditation, Sharon Salzberg, what you're talking about has echoes of loving kindness meditation, has echoes of sankalpa, which is the present tense simple intention you set in a yoga nidra session. We had Joe Dispenza on, who talked about this sort of like manifesting concept. So anyone who's paying attention should be noticing that Bruce Lipton was the old school gangster of all of this stuff. And it has echoes that for thousands of years, as you point out in much of your work, Western medicine has made a very concerted effort to push this aside. And we've become really kind of clinically obsessed with medicating, with performing surgeries, which surgeries are important, medication's important. These are all things that can be life-saving. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have medication or surgery, but what you are talking about is a way of thinking and a mindset that we have the evidence for as impacting your health in ways that make things that you previously thought impossible possible.
Exactly.
I wonder if you can talk a little bit about why positive thinking, right, for lack of a better phrase, why this kind of thinking, why tapping into theta waves and trying to download new information, why does that actually change our physiology?
Okay, the whole idea is this. Let's start with a very simple understanding about genes, because that's where everything went wrong. We bought the belief that genes determine the character of our lives, that genes turn on and off by themselves. I go, what's the relevance of this? Well, apparently then genes control the character of our lives, and as far as I know, I didn't pick them and I can't change them, and then they turn on and off by themselves. The program is we are victims of our genetics. And the fact is this, it's 100% wrong. A gene is a blueprint to make proteins, which are the building blocks of the body. It's a blueprint. You can go into an architect's office, and let's say she's working on a blueprint, and ask her the question, is your blueprint on or off? So look, what are you, crazy? There's no on and off to a blueprint. Aha! Genes can't turn on and off. Genes are blueprints. Genes can be read by who? An architect. An architect can not only read the blueprint, the architect can actually change the blueprint. Well, guess what? The new biology and the new science of genetics is called epigenetics. The significance of this is the belief that genes turn on and off is 100% false. Genes cannot control themselves. They cannot self-actualize. I go, so why is that important? I say, well, then you can only activate the genes with an architect. And I say, well, who's the architect? I go, the mind has always been the architect. This goes back to 1927 with Max Planck. The mind is the architect. I say, so what does that mean? The job of the system, and this is how straightforward it is to take the image in the mind, translate it into complementary chemistry by the brain, and the chemistry from the brain goes to the cells and through epigenetics controls the genetic readout of the cells. To do what? Manifest the picture in the mind. That's the simplest understanding. I say, so what do you want to change? Conventional medicine, built on a Newtonian foundation, is wrong for this reason. Because Newtonian foundation is the universe is made out of matter and energy as two separate realms. Matter affects matter, energy affects energy, but they don't interact. As a result, in the earliest days of medicine, the concept of spirit and mind was discarded because it is not matter. And the body's biology was now based totally on the matter. If the matter wasn't working right, then you fix it with other matter. Well, that's called the pharmaceutical industry. I say, so where's the problem? The issues, let's just say, below my neck, everything that happens down here to my feet is a biological system. And biology says ignore everything from here up and fix everything from here down. I go, well, how do you fix it? Well, it's physical, so put something physical in there. I say, so what's the point? The cause of what happened below here was controlled by what happened up here. So if you keep trying to adjust down here without adjusting up here, you're definitely going to cause a problem. How big is the problem? 2 different journals have reported, and one of them, Journal of the American Medical Association, and the other, the British Medical Journal, have reported a simple fact that medicine, as practiced in the United States, is the 3rd leading cause of death, behind number 1, heart disease, number 2, cancer, number 3, iatrogenic illness, which is Latin, so people don't understand. It means self-cause. The iatrogenic, it's created through medicine. It's medical treatment, actually, is iatrogenic. And I go, it's the 3rd leading cause of death. I would ponder if that would be the direction I should do something about healing first. And I go, why? Because I said this. The most valid science on the planet recognizes this caused this. You want to change this? Don't mess with changing it down here. That's not where the problem is. The problem was here. And the relevance about that is then we have mistakenly thought we can bypass the brain by telling the body what it should do through chemistry. 300,000 people die every year from taking prescription drugs in the US. What does it mean? Only 100,000 people die from taking illegal drugs. 3 times many people die from taking prescription drugs. We have a war on illegal drugs. Prescription drugs, that's the cost of doing medicine. It's too costly. It's time to get out. It's time to recognize what physics has said for 100 years. If you want to change something, you change it through the mind. And then you can affect everything below.
And I think one of the kind of most important details in this conversation is if we do believe that the mind can make us sick, right? And anyone who's suffered from depression or has experienced autoimmune conditions or their body breaking down, if we are willing to admit that the mind influences the body in ways that can make us sick, and this is done, as you talk about, through the HPA axis and through the immune system, that a body that is consistently under stress is not going to devote as much energy to immune function as it is to fight or flight. And that's why you get a lot of these things like Dr. Sarno talked about. You get a tension in the body that is sort of overarching, and you get all sorts of chronic pain. You get things like this. If we're going to believe that the body can be sick because of contributions of the mind, we have to believe the converse, which is that the body can then heal and be repaired with the mind.
Well, there you said it. What's the difference between what we refer to as the placebo effect and the one that the public is not aware of called the nocebo effect?
Can you explain both of those for people? A lot of people hear placebo and they think like, oh, you get a sugar pill. And some of the research that you talk about, which we've talked about with Johan Hari, I mean, this is something we've talked about for a long time. The notion of SSRIs, you talk about the knee surgery, people who had a sham knee surgery and were told that they had knee surgery ended up getting better at the same rates, if not better, than people who had actual knee surgery. And it was kind of like up from wheelchairs, like I'm playing basketball again. And they had no idea they had no surgery on their knee.
They had an idea, but they had an idea they had the idea they had the surgery. And I said, what's the function of the mind? Take the picture and manifest it. Before the surgery, no, my mind, I got a bad knee, bad, broken, not working very good. Pretend surgery without knowing it was pretend. Now the mind says, I just had the surgery, it is now better. And all of a sudden, it got better. Well, that's called placebo effect. It's the mind taking the power to heal. The sugar pill did nothing. It was an icon. It was something you focused on that was bringing the healing. But the healing wasn't the pill, it was the consciousness of what the pill was going to do. Even though the pill did nothing, it was the belief in the pill. Oh, biology belief. Right. But what you also said, and this is a bigger problem, because most people say, okay, placebo, it works. As a matter of fact, it's the most effective healing process in the body because there are no side effects. Placebo healing is healing without side effects. The significance is this. Yes, placebo, I've heard placebo. I said, what about nocebo? What's nocebo? Negative thinking is equally powerful in controlling the body as is positive thinking, but it works in the opposite direction. Negative thinking can cause any disease, including death. If you believe you're going to die, you can die from the belief. Now, there's been studies that showed autopsies of people who died presumably of cancer because that's what they had in their life. And the programming was you got the cancer and then you're going to die in a certain time. And they die approximately in a certain time. Everybody goes, yeah, the cancer killed them. But when they did the autopsies, there wasn't enough cancer to kill them. Then the question was, what killed them? The belief of the death killed them. Why? The mind translates the picture into chemistry that manifests the picture. You believe you're going to die? You're going to put chemistry in a system that will shut it down. You're going to believe you're going to live? Oh, then you put chemistry in the body that pushes it this way. The hardest thing in the world is to own the simple fact, and it is simple, and it's been around 100 years, that the mind is the creator of everything. And that if the mind isn't working right, then the creation is surely as heck not going to look pretty good either. And this becomes so profoundly simple. But then people say, yeah, but in my mind, I had very positive thinking. I go, you were thinking positive thoughts. Guess what? While you were thinking those positive thoughts, the subconscious was taking you down the road to hell. Why? Because thinking the thoughts isn't engaging anything. That's a thought. Thinking about it, 5% of the day? Big deal. 95% of the day is what's happening in our life. And we have been programmed to be victims. And this is an unfortunate situation because the programming controls who we are. I go, well, yeah, the Matrix mentioned we got programmed. I say, look, it's been known for 400 years what we've just talked about. I said, what was that? The first 7 years of your life is download programs, and the rest of your life, 95%, is to manifest those programs. I go, this is exactly what the Jesuits said 400 years ago. Give me a child until it's 7. They even knew the year. Give me a child until it's 7. I will show you the man. They were telling people that if you let me program your first 7 years, I will show you what the rest of your life is going to look like. And then they created Catholic school. What? To program the kids. And I go, that was early programming. Today's programming is much more diabolical, much more efficient. I go, what do you mean? I said, all you need to do is see an infant carrying an iPad when they can't even walk, and they're using an iPad computer program. That's a program. And the idea about it is, yep, the Jesuits had their right idea, and modern technology has taken it way past their ability to program. And we're in that programming period right now, but we're also, most important, and what your work has been talking about, and the people you've had on your programming, is how to change that program.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your power. If you don't know how to change the program, then you will perceive yourself as a victim for the rest of your life.
I want to hit 2 points. One is about someone who's like, yeah, but the kid is just watching the iPad, and what's it really programming him? It's positive entertainment.
Well, let's define positive at this moment, because most of even the cartoons. God, when I grew up, all the cartoons were like the Roadrunner and the Coyote, and they're fighting and blowing up each other, and all those stories of Tom and Jerry, the cat trying to catch the mouse and kill it, and all that. And I go, these are scary programs, but they were called cartoons. And I go, but are we programming them with values? No, we're programming them with fear. You could die. You could do this, you could die. They could kill you. Watch out for them, because they're the bad ones, you're the good one. And we're programming a world of divisiveness. Because why? Because there's an issue of power involved. And it's something that's really, it's something I added to my lectures recently. So give me a moment, if I can, just expand on that power moment. Because there's been evolution of civilization, but there's evolution of power. I go, what do you mean? I go, what was the first power? Physical. Yep, the guy with the big club. If he said do it, you do it, because he had the big club. So whoever was power controlled you. But then another level evolved of power, and it was called those that control the resources. If you control the resources, then you control the need of the public. The public will pay you the money. And then guess what you do with that money? You hired the guy with the big club. He works for you now. And then what? And then it jumped. I said, what was the next jump in power? Knowledge is power. And then the world was taken over by an organization that devoted itself to the awareness that knowledge was power, the church, because it called itself infallible knowledge. What's that? Absolute knowledge. Knowledge is power. They had absolute knowledge, and they controlled civilization with that. Remember, the king kissed the feet of the Pope. Okay? And the significance about that was what? that one is giving way. Because now the real power is what you guys have been doing. Mayim, Jonathan, I congratulate you because you've been manifesting what real power is all about. Real power is consciousness, and it comes above that knowledge stuff. And the idea people are not conscious but are unaware that they're not conscious, and therefore left in the position of being victims of a reality they've been programmed to fit into, even though they don't want it. It's not what they want. And the idea is, what if everybody got their wishes or what they wanted? You know what? It would be heaven on earth. Why? Because almost everybody wants exactly the same thing. What? They want to be healthy, they want to have food, they want to be protected, they want a place to live, they want a job to do. I go, if everybody had all those things, then everybody would be happy. I said, then how come they don't have them? The people that control the power. The church control power by fear. What? There's a hell. Oh, you can go there for free. Everybody can go to hell. It's open to you, everybody. Oh, you don't want to go? Oh, you have to give us 10%. That was called tithing. We'll help you for 10% of your salary. Go to up there, okay?
I wonder if you can clarify, because it's not that you don't believe that people, for example, break bones
No,
or
I
get
believe that.
cancer.
Yeah,
Jonathan had a hip replacement a few years ago. He was born with some congenital good times in his hip.
yeah.
And, I'm pretty certain that that hip replacement was a good idea for Jonathan, but also now I have no idea after listening to you talk. But I wonder if you can clarify a little bit. The notion is sometimes people do get things like cancer,
Yes,
but the ability to have a prognosis that allows you to be in a, let's say, a mindset of healing, that is something we have control over, right? Ellen Langer has these incredible studies that you talk about of basically helping people reverse aging, right? She has groups of people and she puts them in environments of their youth. She has
yeah.
them listen to the music of their youth and eat the food of their youth.
We did this a while ago, about 1980s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But the notion that we have some control over our aging, over our healing, I just wonder if you can clarify a little bit. It's not that you don't believe that sickness exists and it's all in your head.
No, actually, there are 6 diseases, such as hemophilia, that are actually caused by a defective gene.
Mhm.
So, but the fact is this, the number of gene defects is less than 1% the cause of illness on the planet. So
Right.
99% of illness has nothing to do with the genes. Then I go, then what does it have to do with? And I go, living in disharmony. Because when you're living in harmony, your body is in harmony and 50 trillion cells are enjoying peace and harmony. But when you're not in harmony, 50 trillion cells are also not in harmony because you're sending them the messages of we're not in harmony.
Is this where intergenerational trauma enters the conversation? Because Gabor Mate would say many people are living what they feel are fine lives and their bodies get stricken down. Can you talk a little bit about the conversation of intergenerational trauma and epigenetics?
Well, absolutely. Let's give a simple fact like this. Uh, Scientists studied the fate of what happened to children that were adopted into families where cancer was running in the family. The answer? The adopted children got the same family cancer as natural siblings had, but the adopted children came from totally different genetics. Cancer was a program, a misprogram, but a consequence of not dealing with life in a harmonious way, holding on to anger, aggression, or holding things inside, heating yourself up, heat causing bigger problems on the inside when this happens. The idea about it is what? It's the programming that is passed of illness. It's the genes. Less than 1% of any illness is genetically carried. So then you have to start with them. Where the hell is the disease coming from? I go from the programming, and it runs in families. Why? Because first 7 years downloading is the same as genetics, passing information to the offspring. But that's behavioral information. We have to recognize genes are not so much associated with behavior as they are with building a mechanism that can behave. So the genes didn't make us alcoholics. The gene doesn't make the child of a musician be a musician. There's no music gene. It was programming that the child picked up by being around that parent that plays music all the time. That's the life of the download. And so the idea is this: if we own this understanding, then we could look at our life as not a bunch of things that happen to us, but as things that we facilitated. To do what? Learn. Cancer is a symptom, not the real problem. I go, what do you mean? I go, it means you're not living in harmony. You're not dealing with emotional issues, example. Okay? I go, so why is this a problem? And the answer is simply this. It was generated by the mind. What's the mind? The architect. What's the mind building? What's the picture in the mind? Oh, which mind? Aha! Ha! Is it the picture in the conscious mind or the picture in the subconscious mind? And the answer is the subconscious mind. It's not the conscious mind says, oh, I was looking to get some cancer just for fun. No, conscious mind would have nothing to do with that. And this is where people say you're creating your life, and they say, I never wish to have cancer. I go, no, that wasn't you. It was your program. Oh, what program? Oh, but I wouldn't say those things. I go, about 95% of the day you will say those negative things. Without any knowledge of this, and being programmed with the misinformation that we are powerless is where the problem comes from. Because once you download powerless, by definition, then you've automatically relinquished all your power to somebody else. This happens in medicine. Why? When a baby grows up in the first 7 years of its life in a family where a doctor played a prominent role in health, then what do you think the baby downloads in those first 7 years? Even as it was in its diapers being held in your arms, it was downloading. What does it download? The answer is this. When it comes to health, the doctor is the one that knows, and I don't. Therefore, whatever the doctor says is my truth, because I myself do not know. I myself do not have this knowledge. I said, then what? Then the doctor gives you a prognosis. And this is going to happen, that's going to happen, then you're going to die on 30 days. Well, then guess what? That's your truth because you accepted to buy that truth by giving up your power over your life and handing it to the person that we've been programmed to believe has the power over our life. And you give that up. And then you're going to die in 30 days because it's not your truth that you're living by now. You're living by the truth of someone you gave power to. And this is where the whole thing is happening here. And, you know, and I can go, well, that really sounds nice and fun. I go, well, look, I told you I had 40 plus years of no ability to create a relationship because of bad programming. Changed that programming in about 15 minutes and have since then ended up with 30 years of a honeymoon. I live every day in this life, enjoying just to be alive. I wake up every day. I'm still here. That's great right there. I have my love. She's still here. We're sharing our life experiences right now. I technically 80 years old, but I don't give a crap about that. I'm not 80 years old in my mind. I'm not ready to hang it up. When I was young, nobody lived to be 80 years old. So I'm not in that category, my friends.
I want to retouch on something you were talking about, which was human harmony and individual harmony, people living outside of harmony. And when we give our power away to someone other than ourselves, and sometimes we need to, right? We need to get advice. There are experts who know more things than we do, and we want to get professional opinions. But what does it mean to start taking one's power back and knowing what is right for them? Because in the absence of looking to medical doctors, people look to the internet and then they're like, oh, I should follow this or I should follow that. And then we lose the sense of how do we know internally how to navigate what is right for us?
I agree. That's a bitch of a question. Because the idea is everybody wants to throw out an answer that says, this is how I did it and you should do it too. And I go, I don't know about that. That's your life and your consciousness and the way you created your life and your belief system that resulted in what you just did. Do I share the same belief system? If not, then your process is not going to really help me at all because it worked for your process. This is the most important part, to recognize we're unique creators and that our mind is the source of the creation. You're experiencing this creation. If you don't like this creation, the freedom is you can change your mind, you can change your program. There's no thing that says, oh, you went above the certain number, I'm sorry, you're finished. You can't say that. Nobody can. Can everybody tell me how I should live my life? No, because if it doesn't match the picture up here, then what they said is not necessarily going to help me and benefit me in any way whatsoever. I have to find out what it is I want. That comes up to a good point then, and it's this. Sometimes I ask people, tell me what you want. And guess what you're going to get? Because I've seen it. Well, I don't want this. Oh, no, I don't want that. I say, tell me what you want. And all of a sudden, guess what? They can't even tell you what they exactly want. They can tell you what they don't want. But the problem about that is, if you don't know what you want, you can't have it. It would only be an accident if it showed up. You're a creator. That is a simple reality, okay? You create your genetic expression, you create your behavior, and you're doing this for the spiritual experience of being a creator on this planet. And the relevance then comes down to the simple fact is, it's like, what is it you want? And then look at your life and tell me, does your program support what you want? More importantly, tell me what programs are taking away from what you want, because those are the ones I want to change. The ones that are working, I don't want to bother with them. They're working already. What the heck do I need to change those for? I got to change the ones that aren't working. So that becomes more of the question. What in your life is it that you are seeking and having trouble finding it? So because it doesn't exist, because it's a rare earth or something like that? I go, no. If you're not finding it, it's because you don't have it really clear of what the heck you're looking for, and it's not in your program. And you create it.
Let's connect a little bit some of this idea and get really specific. Some of the programming with, some people think that's a little esoteric, right? We understand the hard drive, we understand it conceptually, but then it's like, well, how does that actually play out in my life? And there are so many people who want a relationship, but on their hard drive, they don't believe that they're lovable.
80% of the people, 80% of the people in group tests, when we ask that question, I love myself, 80% fail to, hold the belief I love myself. That has a lot to do with that programming in the beginning. A very simple reason is this. If a player on a sports team, an older player on a sports team isn't doing well, the coach doesn't go, oh, please do better. No, the coach goes, that's not good enough. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve to be on this team. An older player, being conscious and aware, can understand what the coach is saying. I'm not doing well. I have to do better. Okay? Now, parents take on the job of being a coach. If the child isn't doing right, they want to be the coach and say, that's not good enough. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve this. Unfortunately, parents don't recognize that the child is downloading all the words without the meaning of the word, other than they've just been criticized. They didn't understand the intention of the parent was to make them better, but the parent was telling them why they're bad, but didn't tell them why they could be better. So they get self-criticism. It's the self-criticism that takes away self-love. Because if you look at yourself, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not deserving. I'm not lovable. Yeah, my parents said those. Now, the parents didn't mean your life. They meant, at this moment, you're a pain in the ass. But to the child, it's not this moment. It is a download. And if it's repeated, it becomes a real program at that point. And then 95% of your life is going to come from that. If you're self-critical and you don't love yourself, then how can anybody else love you? Ask that question. And you're going to have to say, oh, because they have no quality control. That's their problem. They should know I'm not lovable. But guess what? I'll show them I'm not lovable. And when they disappear, I will stand in front of you right now and tell you, see, I knew I wasn't lovable. Where are they? They left. Why? Because my behavior was to demonstrate I wasn't lovable, and at some point they left. And this is the biggest issue, is because parents do not recognize the words they say are the directive of that child's future life. And this is why it's so important to be a conscious parent. To always say only the positive things to your child. You're the smartest, you're the brightest, you're the most loving, you're so powerful, you're a creator. Oh, if those are the words that are downloaded, that's the path of 95% of that child's life. That's the way it works. It's always been known for 400 years. That's the way it works. And yet parents want to be a conscious parent. I go, then here's the little catch. You ready? To be a conscious parent, you have to be conscious. I go, yeah. So I say, well, how much is that? It says 5% of the day you're being the real conscious parent. Why? Because in your mind, you're going to be the conscious parent, and 95% of the day, you're going to play the same damn program you got downloaded with when your parents. And that's why this behavioral trait is carried through the lineage. Because 95% of the day, you're going to play the same damn program you got downloaded with. And then it's just going to pass on like that.
We are animals more than we realize. What I would love a bit of an explanation on is how our subconscious beliefs, which are translated into our bodies in the form of muscle tone and tension, actually have a resonance to them, so that when I'm standing with someone, they can feel what those beliefs are, even without me communicating. If I say, I'm so lovable, I'm so great, look what a great partner I am, if I really don't believe I am, what's going to come through my pores, what's going to come and in the unconscious of that other person is going to smell me like a dog smells another dog from a mile away.
Absolutely, 100% scientific quantum physics biology. Everything is vibration. If you think the edge of your skin is the edge of your body, you're in a big mistake area. The idea is I can read your brain function with a probe out here called magnetoencephalograph. What I want people to understand, because what you're just saying is, yeah, that is an issue. The issue is this. Your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your thoughts are broadcast. And those people sensitive to them can be aware of those thoughts before you even vocalize them. When two people are in a relationship and they're extremely close, guess what? One could start a sentence, never even finish it before the other one ends with the ending of it. Because there's a point where the closer you get, the more you become in tune with the vibration of what's going on before the words come out, which is a manifestation of those vibrations. The vibrations came out first. The words came out second. You cannot hide your feelings in that sense by pretending, because that's not your choice at that moment. And the issue is, yes, you're always broadcasting. You are generating a field, and the field can be picked up by those who are sensitive to the field, or not picked up. If a person's insensitive to the field, they hear nothing. They don't even know what's going on. But if a person becomes more sensitive, they can feel you before you even say the words of anything. And the whole idea about it is this becomes another important part of our human biology, which has been lost, because there's a tendency for people to learn. Don't go by your feelings. Listen to what somebody has to say. I say the moment you did that, you lost your power, because the feelings are the more accurate assessment. Am I with the right person or the wrong person? I say, don't go by what they say. You already know by the feelings whether that vibration is in harmony with you or not, and you respond to that. And that's animal. A dog, you think, Oh, I told my dog to sit and it sat. And I go, oh, it understands English? I go, no, it understands intention. It understands vibration. Dogs communicate with each other without language. Dogs communicate by vibration and what are called mirror neurons, by observing the other one's behavior and interpreting what that means. Okay? Well, this is why it's your thought. If you're happy, the dog's okay. If you're nervous, the dog's going to be looking around like, what the hell's going on? If you're upset, the dog could get into a very angry position to protect you at some point. Does it do it with words? No, it does it totally with feelings. Why? Because that is how all animals communicate, except humans have learned to put language on top of feelings. As a matter of fact, I used to use this in the lecture. It was a quote from a movie, a British movie. It was pretty damn boring, and it was late at night. I was just about to turn it off. And I remember just as I was about to turn off this movie, a line from the movie came out, and it said, language was designed to hide feelings. And that's the point, because we're first vibrational entities that read vibration. And the vibrations are either in harmony with you or disharmony with you, or some vibrations have no impact on your vibrations because you're not in the same field with them. So the whole point is this. We have given up the power of the reading the feeling before interpreting the words. That should be built in. It goes the other way. Listen to the words, ignore the feeling. I go, oof. Oh, big mistake. That was a big mistake. All animals, including us, vibration is the primary communication of every organism on this planet, from the most primitive to the most advanced. Those organisms, us, who can decide not to pay attention to those, can then have a very negative consequence of not recognizing important signals that are coming because you're not listening to them.
People can say all kinds of words, and what's fascinating is when those words do not resonate with the emotion that they're trying to convey, where there is a disharmony in the two, where someone's saying, look at all these great things, I'm just trying to help, and your gut is telling you something feels weird here. That is a huge piece of information that through language we are often taught not to trust.
That's the point that I was just saying. That gut feeling was more important than whatever the words the person said. They could sell you, the old days used to talk about, sell you the Brooklyn Bridge, you know? Here, you want to buy that bridge? Give me $5. Okay, you know, then some fool would give them $5. Why? Because they listened to the words that had they were being ripped off. And the question is, do you want to listen to the words? And I go, not necessarily, man. I want to know the feelings. I know the feelings before you even opened your mouth, because your feelings are already broadcast before you got here. You were already broadcasting. Your feelings in harmony with my feelings, I can tell right away. If I use my feelings. Most people will not do that.
You talked about our thoughts being outside of our heads.
But being broadcast from our heads.
They're being broadcast from our heads, but that consciousness actually can live outside of our physical body.
Yes.
There's a rage right now. You know, everyone is using the word telepathy. And if you consider what you said in terms of thoughts being broadcast, it's not necessarily that someone is communicating telepathically, but that if our thoughts are vibrational, then they're being sensed. And the translation of the vibration into language is something actually different than the fact that we are all vibrational beings sending out information and receiving information all the time.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it's all about right now. So recognize that, well, what if I started using my vibration as a compass? Should I go here or should I go there? And I go, which one feels better? And in fact, when I conclude and start to give people some advice of how to operate in some sense, it becomes, I say this. Sometimes we're confronting a decision that's very important for us. I say, so what? I say, well, you have to make up your mind. Should I do A or should I do B? I go, so how do you do that? I say, well, in your mind, I take you back a second to a class in algebra where you took up, let's go back. And I said, what was the part of the class? I said, you're given a very large equation. And your job is to reduce it to the smallest equation. Okay? Remember anything like that? Remember that kind of problem? So you start at the top of the page and you reduce it once, and then you do another reduction, and then you do another reduction, and that's the bottom of the page. You got it as small as it's going to get. When we're trying to make a decision and we start to do, how does this affect me? Those are like each step. Okay, this is a very positive part of the decision. No, this is not such a good part. This is positive. I say, so what are you doing? You're doing the algebra thing. You're reducing the decision down based on what is in the bottom end is the bottom line. Is this a good decision or not a good decision? Based on that, I go, one problem. I go, what is it? Just like in algebra, you make one mistake in a reduction, and the bottom line, the answer is wrong. I don't care what. Okay. So I said, well, so it's a good exercise to do that. But then I said, but here's how I would suggest you make the final decision. After you go through that exercise, which is very good to do, the final comes down to this. You ask your heart, how do I feel about this decision? I said, what's important? The heart reads vibration. Doesn't read the details, just reads the vibration. And the fact is, it can tell you if a vibration is in harmony because it will feel good. If a vibration is in disharmony, it will feel bad. If a vibration doesn't affect you, it has no feeling at all. So what was the point? Do the exercise, the algebra, consider each thing. But when you made that final decision, you did it based on the heart, because the heart will tell you whether that energy was a vibe that will empower you, or the energy could take away your power. And it becomes a very clean answer at that point. How do I feel about making this decision? Not the details. And this goes right back to understanding. The feeling is the original communication in the first organisms on this planet. They didn't have eyes, ears, nose, taste buds, voice boxes. They had vibration. And when a vibration was in harmony, it enhanced their life. When it was a destructive interference vibration, it took away the harmony and they lost their power in their life. And they knew from that decision whether I should go this way or should I go that way. It was the compass. And the idea about that is it was the original compass. It's still the most important. The original one is the most important one. It's the vibe. What is it? Everything is vibe. The illusion of matter throws a monkey wrench into the picture because people have trouble saying that matter is energy. I just go, I know, but they don't get it. And I can give them that in a lecture, and they go, oh, yeah, that's right. And they walk out the door, and they're back in Newton land again with matter and energy as separate things. It's like it doesn't play a role in their life. And this happened to me from the very beginning. I say, what? I observed these experiments about the foundation of epigenetics 50 years, 23 years before science recognized it. I saw it in 1967, 1990, epigenetics was recognized, okay? And the point about it is I said, oh my God, if you understand this mechanism, you can create this most fabulous life. So I got people together and I said, I got to tell you about this new biology, because if you understand this new biology, you can have the most fabulous life. And as I'm talking, they would look at me and they go, you know, Lipton, for a guy who says you know this stuff, your life doesn't look that fabulous. I started realizing I'm trying to tell people how to do it. I'm not doing it. I committed myself to a situation and said, I'm going to try it. If I can't do it, I'm sure as hell not going to go stand in front of a bunch of people and tell them to do it. And I started to use this as the basis of running my life, the new physics, the new epigenetics, and making decisions based on this. And as soon as I did it, I was rewarded instantaneously by change that was like, oh my God, it works. And the more I did it, the more it worked, and the more it worked, and the more now when I talk about it, people all of a sudden go, ooh, maybe there's something to it, and the reality is, yeah, there is something to it. Because when the people have taken their power back, the vibration, the programming understanding, the reprogramming understanding, once they started they take that back, they have created totally different life experiences on this planet. That a honeymoon is not a short period of your life, a little vacation from life. How about if it's every day of your life? Yes, it can be every day of your life, but not with a program you generally took from your home.
Thank you so much. We're really, really grateful for all of the work that you've done and continue to do.
I'm a happy boy that you are doing this, and I'm very appreciative because I appreciate your audience. And to me, that's really important because the people that are coming to you are looking, give me some answer, man, because it's not working out here. And so you're helping our evolution of our planet by knowledge is power.
Thank you.
So I appreciate what you're doing, and therefore I totally appreciate the opportunity of being with you on this program.
Thank you so much.
I have concerns that we were not framed properly in the episode, and I was sitting off to the side, and that the dog beside you had 80% of the screen real estate.
Here's the thing.
Also, I noticed that he was on his back during some of that, and maybe I don't know that people wanted to see that.
He was what?
On his back.
Oh, the dog? Oh, I thought you meant Bruce Lipton. This was an opportunity to speak to Dr. Bruce Lipton, which we were very, very excited about. And there's some exceptional things going on. It's the fires are happening literally today in Los Angeles. And so we are in a place where we're working off a generator. Like, I couldn't even see the whole frame. Jonathan may have been hanging off the end of the frame. It was an unusual day, and we got to speak to Bruce Lipton about all these awesome things. And
I feel like there are many things in this episode that some people are going to be like, what? Wait, I don't know. And some people are going to be uncomfortable. But there are a few pieces that I would like us to dig into more scientific and expand on, meaning the notion that we're all energy. Like the hippies and the energy workers say that, but having the scientists explain it in the way that they do and bridge that. The notion that he talks about that we broadcast our thoughts, that we're animals and that we can sense one another in a way. Some people intuitively understand that, but there's a mechanistic process that we didn't fully get to unpack.
Yeah, I mean, in his book Biology of Belief, he talks about energy is if you've ever been walking down like a dark alley and you feel the hair stand up on the back of your neck, or there's a danger that you sense before you consciously, experience it.
Is that perceived danger or actual danger?
It's just that you're picking up on something that is not, visible.
Because dark alleys could very well be totally safe.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Another example is if you've ever felt watched by someone, like if you feel like someone's watching you, but you're not seeing anyone watching you, that feeling. There's also some really interesting experiments he talks about that were done in terms of plant communication. And it was a really cool experiment where they were able to basically eliminate any physical communication or physiological communication between these two different species of plants. It was like, I think, chili and basil. And, they eliminated light, they eliminated touch, they eliminated all these things. And there still was a way that these plants seemed to be sensing each other by something that we are not observing.
What was the evidence that they were sensing each other?
Oh, it was about growing. They grew better, I think. The study is Gagliano and Renton, 2013, if anybody wants to look it up. I would have to look at the original paper. But, what he talks about is that energy is a governing feature of health, that all organisms communicate and, in a sense, read the environment by evaluating different fields of energy and not always things that are measurable. What he also talks about is that once you have language, which he talked about a little bit today, we we lose our energy sensing ability. So, obviously, you gave the dog example. I mean, pretty much every other animal, can sense things in ways that we can't. And some of them are odor and pheromones, and that's true. But what he was saying is that what we know is that a lack of use of anything leads to atrophy. And that, in a time very different than this time, when we were in hunter-gatherer societies, when we were close to nature, when we were relying on nature all the time, when we were seeing life and death on a daily basis, when we were, having more unstructured time, more downtime, when we were not being pressured to compete the same way we are now, earn money, like literally have a job that exhausts you, take care of kids on your own, like all the things that are a feature of our culture. When we didn't live in that culture, and I'm not trying to like romanticize the olden days. You also could like be eaten by a tiger, like for just walking down the road, in ways that most people, aren't interacting with right now. But the notion that we have lost an ability to sense because of the culture we live in, because of the way we live, we know that's true. We also know that, certain communities are trackers. And, for example, the Bedouin, it's a Middle Eastern nomadic group. They are trackers. When they serve in the army, they serve as trackers. Aboriginal individuals are often, have tracking ability that is used and that is passed on, and a lot of it is epigenetic. But the notion that also when you talk to Native Americans or First Nations individuals about their understanding of nature and the universe, it's like there's a different sense that many of us simply don't have anymore.
I'm going to give a small example, but right before I do, if we were chili and basil, who would be the chili? Who would be the basil?
I think I'm the basil and you're the chili.
I think that's true. In terms of this sense that we've lost, it's a very almost simple example. And like by simple, I mean, it's like not overly profound. The end result wasn't that like my life changed in any way, but I think a lot about reconnecting with intuition. How do we as a society, given that we're often language forward, logic reason forward, which of course are 100% needed. It's great to do the pros and cons list. But then when he says, follow your heart, what I think about is like, a lot of people don't know how to do that, right? They're like, am I scared or am I hopeful? And like, they don't, or am I excited? Or like, is this thing really good for me?
Well, I think most people are also looking to please other people with what they do and how they act. But yes.
Which is a huge impediment in terms of actually tuning into that heart and realizing what you want. So I think a lot about intuition and reconnecting with this sense that I believe we're all born with. And so I was in a town that I used to live in over the break, and I didn't have plans and I didn't really talk to some of the people that I used to hang out with. So I had a couple days where I thought, all right, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to hike and I'm going to be by myself. And I go on a hike in the morning and then I eat a nice breakfast. And I get in the car not knowing where I'm going to go. And I think maybe I'll go home and rest and work a little bit. But something like a little gnawing says, why don't you drive to this park? Not on my way. And I was like, I had to drop something off. And I was like, I don't know if I should really do that. And again, a little gnawing, why don't you drive by this park? And maybe you'll take the dog for another walk is what my brain said. And I pull up to the park. And what I didn't realize is that there had been 8 new pickleball courts built since the time I left that town. And I had never seen them before. And I pull in and I was like, oh, these are cool. I love pickleball. I pull up and I get out of the car to look at the courts. And right beside me is a guy who I used to play with. And right by me on the other side is another guy who gets like, hey, how are you? So good to see you. And I'm like, you guys just happen to be here? He's like, oh, there's a game of all the people I used to play with that's happening in 15 minutes from now. Like, I have a spare paddle in my bag. Like, why don't you come play? And I was like, right place, right time. I end up spending the rest of the day playing pickleball. Yep. And had I like over logically and reasoned it, I never would have gone and driven there. And like, I would have been like, why am I going there? I've already gone on a hike. It's like that little moment of intuition.
I don't mean to burst your happy feeling bubble. If you had broken your ankle playing pickleball.
But I didn't.
But I want to say that like, this is one of the problems that I have, one of the challenges that I have with this kind of thinking. And maybe that's just me not, being comfortable leaning into the positivity of it all. But the fact is there are many examples where people have this kind of intuition. It's not talked about as much when that intuition
Goes horribly wrong.
Well, and maybe you were supposed to break your ankle, and maybe that's how you view the world. That even if something objectively bad happens, that it was like it would lead you to healing, and maybe you would move back to Sedona because of it. Like, I don't know. There's a complete like parallel universe of your life where you didn't get the pleasure of that event, and maybe that would still be okay. And quantum mechanics would say everything is possible. All those possibilities happened, are happening, and have always happened. And we just get to live out this one.
I mean, it's the Chinese proverb that nothing is good or bad. It just is. It's like,
is that a Chinese proverb?
Well, it's a longer proverb. That's the takeaway. It's okay. Like the boy has a horse.
Oh, yeah,
He gets the horse, and you ask the man, "Oh, it's so amazing you got the horse." He goes, right. Maybe. And then he has the horse a while. He falls off the horse. He breaks his leg. And then he says, "Well, that's horrible that he fell off the horse." Well, maybe.
Right.
Then the war starts. The war starts, and then he doesn't have to go to the war, and then everyone comes back, and all the children die from the war, and then so it's like, and then on and on and on, where the thing that you think is good or bad is not really good or bad.
It just is, and I think that's true. That's true. But I like your story.
I personally believe that there are moments of opportunity that we can have, moments of joy, moments of more connection, unexpected opportunity by following that little instinct that could guide us.
Yes, I would argue that. I think what didn't get specifically talked about, which I hope people will, listen to other episodes of ours where we do talk about it, is a little bit more of the practicality of sort of manifesting that, making it happen. I think that the meditations is something. He also has a program called Psych K that he talks about in the 10th edition of Biology of Belief, and he talks about certain programs. But there are different ways to do this kind of manifesting in a theta state, and hypnotherapy is one of them. There's a lot of different ways. And for many people, having transcendental experiences, whether with the use of psychedelics or through deep meditation, can also kind of get you into that, that phase where you're not just kind of, able to be suggested, right? Mm-hmm. A suggestible state, but one where also there's healing that can happen.
I am very excited to record myself a reprogramming tape.
Oh,
a little digital voice memo that I'm going to start to play at night.
I'm sure you will post it on social media and everyone can use it.
If you want us to make you one, we will.
Well, but I think honestly, Sharon Salzberg is, one of the leaders in this field of loving kindness meditation, which is really an extension of what this is talking about. I'm safe, right? May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy.
Not may you be, you are.
Yeah, it would be a modification of that kind of loving kindness. But yeah.
We have a creative outlet. We have a thriving community. We are so excited that we got to have this conversation with all of you.
And from our breakdown to the one we hope you never have, we'll see you next time.
It's Mayim Bialik's breakdown. She's gonna break it down for you. She's got a neuroscience PhD or two. One fiction, one. And now she's gonna break down